Hi everyone, welcome to Canuck July, and welcome to Lilybug's Library, of course. My name is Linda, and welcome to everyone who came out to see me today. So Canuck July is, Canuck is just another way of saying Canadian. It's just a slang term for it, not in a derogatory way, just an affectionate way. So this month it's going to be all Canadian authors. Canada Day is July 1st, and so I thought it'd be a good time to do that. I have way more than I will probably get read in July, but we will see. This is also the second time I'm doing this video because the first time I chose a different sound and somehow it didn't come through. So anyway, we'll start over. So the first book that we're going to read for Canuck July is The House Witch. So I've got some notes here for anything that I don't have a physical book of. So I'm just going to read a little bit from that to tell you what it's about. So The House Witch, it says, when Finlay Ashawan joins the staff of the King and Queen of Daxaria, he's an enigma. No one knows where he comes from or how he came to be where he is, which suits Finn just fine. He's satisfied simply serving as the royal cook, keeping nosy passerby out of his kitchen, and concocting some truly uncanny meals. But Finn's secret identity doesn't stay hidden for long. After all, it's not every day a house witch and his kitten familiar Kraken takes to meddling in imperial affairs. As his powers are gradually discovered by the court, Finn finds himself involved in a slew of intrigues, going head-to-head with knights with less than chivalrous intentions. I find that word hard to say. Helping to protect the pregnant queen, fending off the ire of the royal mage, and uncovering a spy in the castle, and that's only the beginning. So, sounds like it's going to be really good. It sounds kind of funny and a little bit of fantasy and mystery in there. It sounds like it should be good. The next one is called Perm to Death. It's the first of the Bad Hair Day Mysteries, which is a cozy mystery series. It says, hairstylist Marla Shore is already having a bad hair day when one of her clients dies in the shampoo chair at her salon. Then Detective Dalton Vale accuses her of putting poison in the woman's coffee creamer. Grumpy Bertha Kravitz might not have been Marla's favorite customer, but she wouldn't have murdered the lady. With her reputation at stake, Marla decides it's up to her to unmask the killer. So that one sounds like it should be good as well. The next one is called Letters Across the Sea, and that's by Genevieve Graham. It says, inspired by a little-known chapter of World War II history, a young Protestant girl and her Jewish neighbor are caught up in a terrible wave of hate, sweeping the globe on the eve of war. So it starts in 1933 and then goes to, I believe it's 1937? Somehow I lost that page. Yeah, 1939. So 1933 and 1939. So in 1933, it says, at 18, Molly Ryan dreams of becoming a journalist, but instead she spends her days working any job she can to help her family through the depression crippling her city. The one bright spot in her life is watching baseball with her best friend Hannah Dreyfus and sneaking glances at Hannah's handsome older brother Max. But as the summer unfolds, more and more of Hitler's hateful ideas cross the sea. Signs spring up around Toronto, a city already simmering with mass unemployment, protests, and unrest. And so then it talks about that, and then it says 6 years later, the depression has eased. Molly is a reporter at her local paper, but a new war is on the horizon, putting everyone she cares about most in peril. As letters trickle in from overseas, Molly is forced to confront what happened all those years ago. But is it too late to make things right? So sounds like that's going to be really good too. So I'm excited to read that one. One that we've actually started already. Wonderful husband and I are reading it. Very short, but it's the woman's first novel, from what I could gather. It's called Seasons of Gasper's Cove, Book 1, and it's called Panic in the Pansies, and it's another cozy mystery. It says the snow's gone. It's springtime in Nova Scotia. It's house selling, bulb planting, and transplant buying time. Stay-at-home mom and canning aficionado Krista Willett is happy to be out of the house, but her new job at the garden center has its challenges. After all, she knows nothing about gardening. Her boss is AWOL, and her best customers turn out to be dead or crooked or both. So that one's it's been really good so far. Just really cute. So I'm excited to see kind of where it goes. I wish it was a little longer, but hopefully it's worth the ride. And so then there is another one called A World of Curiosities. So this one is book 18, apparently, in the Chief Inspector Armand Gamache series. I have not read any of the other 17, but I happen to have this one, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to read this one and hope that it's like a lot of books, and even though it's a series, that they don't have to be read in order. So we'll see. It says it's spring and Three Pines is reemerging after the harsh winter. Not everything buried should come alive again. Not everything lying dormant should reemerge, but something has. As the villagers prepare for a special celebration, Armand Gamache and Jean-Guy Beauvoir find themselves increasingly worried. A young man and woman have reappeared in the Surete de Quebec investigators' lives after many years. The two were young children when their troubled mother was murdered, leaving them damaged, shattered. Now they've arrived in the village of Three Pines, but to what end? Gamache and Beauvoir's memories of that tragic case, the one that first brought them together, come rushing back. Did the mother's murder hurt these children beyond repair? Have those terrible wounds, buried for decades, festered, and are they now about to erupt? So sounds like that one's going to be really good too. We'll see how... I don't know how deep they go into the murder, but we'll see how it goes. And the next one is called The Patterson House. It says Alden Patterson is the last living memory of the once wealthy Toronto family and is haunted by the legacy of her grandfather, William Patterson, whose suicide taints the family name. She lives in the decaying Patterson house with Constance, a foundling, and John Hunt, an injured war veteran and the family's former gardener. When Alden is reduced to taking in boarders, she thinks she has found a way to survive until the crash of 1929 leaves her truly desperate, and one particular boarder threatens to destroy everything she thinks she wants. Sounds good? Intriguing. The next one is called The Opportunist. It says, when Alana Shropshire's 76-year-old father, Ed, starts dating Kelly, his 28-year-old nurse, a flurry of messages arrive from Alana's brothers, urging her to help protect Dad from the young interloper. Alana knows that what Teddy and Martin really want to protect is their father's fortune, and she tells them she couldn't care less about the May-December romance. Long estranged from her privileged family, Alana, a hardworking single mom, has more important things to worry about. But when Ed and Kelly's wedding is announced, Teddy and Martin kick into hyperdrive and persuade Alana to fly to their father's West Coast island retreat to perform one simple task in their plan to make the gold digger go away. Kelly, however, proves a lot more wily than expected, and Alana becomes entangled in an increasingly dangerous scheme full of secrets and surprises. Just how far will her siblings go to retain control? So that one also sounds good. And then I kind of thought that was going to be it, but I started going through my bookcase, and I don't know about you, but I don't always know where authors were born or where they live. It's not something I really pay that much attention to most of the time, but I have been just because of this, so I've been kind of researching where everyone is from. So I found a couple in my bookcase that I didn't realize were Canadian authors, but they are. One is called The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie by Alan Bradley, and I can't remember whether this was the author or whether it was the next one, but one of them is a Métis author as well, which is Indigenous and French. So anyway, this one sounds good. I don't know how scary it'll be, but it says, meet 11-year-old Flavia Deleuze, an aspiring chemist with a passion for poison. It is the summer of 1950, and a series of inexplicable events has struck Buckshaw, the decaying English mansion that Flavia's family calls home. A dead bird is found on the doorstep, a postage stamp bizarrely pinned in its beak. Hours later, Flavia finds a man lying in the cucumber patch and watches him as he takes his dying breath. For Flavia, who is both appalled and delighted, life begins in earnest when murder comes to Buckshaw. So I'm interested to see where that one goes. And the next one is called The Strangers. And again, that could be the author that I read that was Métis, but I'm not entirely sure. It says Cedar has nearly forgotten what her family looks like. Phoenix has nearly forgotten what freedom feels like, and Elsie has nearly given up hope. After time spent in foster homes, Cedar goes to live with her estranged father. Although she grapples with the pain of being separated from her mother Elsie and sister Phoenix, she hopes for a new chapter in her life, only to find herself once again in a strange house surrounded by strangers. From a youth detention center, Phoenix gives birth to a baby she'll never get to raise and tries to forgive herself for all the harm she's caused. Elsie, struggling with addiction and determined to turn her life around, is buoyed by the idea of being reunited with her daughters and strives to be someone they can depend on. These are the strangers, each haunted in their own way. So that too sounds really good. So like I said, a lot of books for July. Not sure I'll get through them all, but we'll start at the top and work our way down. And it looks like my laptop is quickly dying, so I won't keep you much longer. I did want to say there are some Canadian authors that I haven't covered this month and that I won't be covering. One is Lucy Maud Montgomery, who did Anne of Green Gables. I know she's much loved around the world, so if you haven't read anything by her, I highly recommend. The other is Margaret Atwood, who again is famous around the world. She did The Handmaid's Tale and a lot of other ones. She is not my sort of author. It's always great to see people be successful, just not my sort of books. So if you're into kind of the darker sort of books, she might be for you as well if you haven't read her. So that is it for today. And I'm looking forward to getting started with all of those, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks to give you an update. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.